All right, today we're gonna make some pasta, spaghetti, fettuccine, linguine, ziti, macaroni. There's so many different types of dried pasta, but I know it sometimes can be difficult to cook pasta. I mean, it sounds easy, but sometimes we don't do it right. So I'm gonna teach you some techniques today that are gonna make your pasta excellent. And it's all about how long you cook it and what are you cooking it in, okay? So we're gonna start with a basic ratio of 2 quarts of water into an empty sauce pot, okay? Now, one of the things we're gonna do here is we are not gonna add any oil. No matter what anyone tells you, adding oil to your water to cook pasta is a waste of money. Don't do it. It doesn't make any difference. Your pasta won't stick. But one of the things I do wanna tell you to do is you must season your pasta. And we're gonna season our water, rather. We're gonna season it with just kosher salt, all right? Now I'm gonna get to the amount in a second, but it's just gonna be plain kosher salt. Now, once again, kosher salt versus table salt or iodized salt. What's the big difference? How do I differentiate? What do I use? How do I use it? Great questions, and this is why I have written the blueprint, the pamphlet, the guide, the ebook of everything you need to know called Cooking Made Simple. I'll leave a link in the description box below. Pick up your copy, because if you read this book, you will learn the basics and the foundations that will help you as I'm explaining how to get from point A to point B in each of these techniques and recipes, okay? So we're gonna get our burner on, and before we add our salt to season our water, we must bring this to a boil first. One of the 2 mistakes I often see. One is that people add water to their pasta water, oil to their pasta water. Boy, I wish I could talk today. Oil to their pasta water, which is a no-no, not necessary. And they also add the salt immediately. If you do that, sometimes you don't know how salty your water is getting or how much more you should be putting in. So make sure your water comes to a boil, and then we're gonna add our salt. Okay, so we're going to watch this come to a boil, and then we're going to continue on from there. So now you can see our water is starting to come to a boil. That's exactly what we want. So right about this point, now we added 2 quarts of regular old tap water, bottled water, whatever you want to use. And to that, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of kosher salt. And that is going to be exactly, look at that. See, that's why you want to boil it first. So now we can tell. So I know right away this is going to be perfectly seasoned, and we want it to taste like the sea. Okay? That's the it's not going to be too salty, although it's going to seem too salty, but really it's not, because once that starch comes into this water, it's going to absorb a lot of that. Raw noodles can absorb a lot of sodium. So don't worry about this tasting like the sea, because it's actually going to add a lot of flavor to your pasta. Now, we have this to a boil. This is a pound of spaghetti, okay? So 4 handfuls I would make, so this is a 1/4 pound, about a 1/4 pound right here. That's what we're going to use today. So we place this in. The other thing I don't have to do, don't break your pasta in half. It's not necessary. One of the things that makes spaghetti and fettuccine and all the long grain noodles so delicious to eat and absorb whatever sauce you're going to use with them is to not have the bite-sized pieces. If you want bite-sized, then get macaroni or get tortellini or something of that effect. But if you want just good old regular great pasta, keep it whole. And then just watch what I'm doing here. It's going to slowly come down And I'm going to turn the heat down just a little bit so it doesn't overflow. And see, it's just going to melt its way down, cook its way down rather, just like so. And again, you don't have to worry about it sticking. It's not going to stick. The rumbling of the boil will keep that from happening. Okay? Now, how long do you cook it? Great question. I know that's what you were thinking. We're gonna let this go for 10 to 12 minutes. You can set your timer by it. But the other thing I want you to do is that after 10 minutes, I do want you to taste it, and I'll show you how to do that when we come right back. In 10 to 12 minutes, we're gonna check this. We're gonna see exactly where we are. Come look at this again. Okay, can you always just make sure, you see it's all down, it's all underneath the water. That's what we want. Now we just let it go for, now we're down to about 8 minutes. Let's let this go and then we'll check it out when we come back. Okay, so before we even go any further, I want to let you know that this has been 14 minutes, so it's going to be 15 minutes before we finish. So 15 minutes. I don't want you to freak out and think that you did something wrong. The other thing I want you to notice, as you can tell, it's almost getting to where we want it, is when we put it in, you remember that really dark yellow color it had? Now it's more of a whitish. That's another way to tell that your pasta is cooking through. Now there's a term that you're going to see a lot used in a lot of recipes. It's called al dente. Dente, from the Latin term where the word dentist and dental comes from. It just means to the bite, to the tooth, which means it should have a little snap to it. And that's because in traditional Italian cooking, what they would do is that they would finish their pasta inside of a sauce. And that's what we're going to do today too. So you can see. So you don't want to cook it all the way through, otherwise it's going to become mush. And you know how I feel about mushy things. They just don't have any flavor, right? So we're going to turn this off because we're right where we want to be right now. And what we're going to do is I'm going to take this, and I've got a strainer, okay? And I have a regular stainless steel bowl, okay? You could do this over your sink as well, but I'm just going to do it here. It's easier for you to see. So we're just going to take our pasta, which is al dente, to the bite. I'm just going to pour it into our strainer, just like so, okay? Now, all we need to do now is get our condiment ready, or our sauce, or whatever we want to toss this in. So we're going to start that right now. What we're going to do is turn this burner on, and we've got a regular saute pan. Now, what I want you to understand is any kind of tomato sauce you want to use at this point is fine. I'm going to use some basic Classico. You could use anything you want at the store, right? This is all up to you. This is for, we're trying to become better cooks. We're beginners, right? We want to get this, we want to make it delicious. So I'm going to show you quick and easy ways to do that. So while our pasta is just resting, we're going to add a little bit of the store-bought tomato sauce. Now, one thing I will tell you, I'm going to add about half a cup, okay? One thing I will tell you when you are buying store-bought tomato sauce is on the back of the ingredients, make sure that you look and see the ingredients. Whatever is first is where it's what's most in here. So if you see a lot of sugar in the top 4 here, not real good, all right? You really want the sugar, if there is any in your tomato sauce, to be towards the bottom. So you really want to see tomatoes up here and nice fresh herbs and stuff like that. So the ingredients are important. Once again, another tip and trick, an example, you don't have to write it down, just get the blueprint, get the ebook, link in the description box below. I talk about all about ingredients and what you should be looking for when you go to the store, okay? So we've got our tomato sauce in our saute pan. We're gonna now add our pasta, which is al dente, back in here. Now, one of the things that most people don't understand is the reason I like to save the pasta water is because this has starch in it, which is really good, and it adds a lot of good flavor to that tomato sauce. So we're gonna add, I don't know, maybe a tablespoon, maybe 2, just like that. And that's just another little trick. It's really gonna help you incorporate everything. And then all you wanna do from here is just get that spaghetti all tossed in. one of the things that a lot of people tend to do, and even some really, I don't know, I won't call them shady restaurants, but restaurants that I don't think really are, in my opinion, real good. You'll see them put a plate of pasta on the table and then just put the sauce on top of it. In fact, a lot of our families eat like that, right? We just take the spaghetti, put it on a plate, and then take the sauce and dump it on top. There's no love, there's no marriage, right? You want to have the marriage. You want the pasta to absorb all of this deliciousness of that sauce. You want the condiment, the sauce, we also call it the condiment. You want the sauce and the pasta to become one, okay? This is how you get incredible flavor. The starch, the tomato sauce, all coming together. So every bite, you're getting something delicious, okay? So we just let this sit for a little while longer. Our pasta, remember, was 90% cooked. So it's gonna cook for another 10% now. It's releasing that last bit of starch. The sauce is incorporating into the pasta. And then we take it to the plate. All right, so right before we plate it, I'm gonna do one little thing. Add a little bit of cracked black pepper, a little bit of kosher salt. Mix that in here. Now, take it. As you look at, I want you to see how this is all incorporated. Notice how it's not one big blob of sauce on top of some pasta. That's not good. We want it to be mixed in together as one. Very simple, as you can see. And from here, we can do so many things. We can add fresh basil, you can add oregano, some garlic, some lemon zest. Oh, there's so many things that we're gonna do together that I'm gonna teach you, but we wanted to get the basics first. Remember, we're building the foundation of the house, right? We don't wanna build on the third or fourth floor because what happens? No foundation, collapse. So once you learn the foundations, then everything is open to you, okay? Everything, all right? So let's just give this a try, just so we know what we're dealing with here and how it's so simple to cook some really fresh, easy homemade pasta. Well, it's not homemade, but it's not store-bought either. That is delicious. That is absolutely delicious. And it's perfect. The balance of that sodium, the salt we put in the water. As you notice, it didn't stick. We cooked it for 15 minutes. We drained it. We added our sauce. We heated that up. Then we added a little bit of the pasta water we reserved to loosen it. We added our pasta back in to incorporate it with the condiment to become one, right? Add a little bit of salt and black pepper at the end, and then we plated it, and it is absolutely delicious. So there you have it. Once again, get the blueprint. It's gonna help you beyond belief, okay? You will not believe all the things that you may be taking for granted, or all the things that you may be doing that are making your cooking not as good as it could be. So get the blueprint, get the ebook. It goes through every single little step that'll help you become a great cook. All right, I'm Chef Brian. Until next time, eat well and stay healthy.